There is a saying that if you place a monkey in front of a typewriter and allow it to type infinitely, eventually it will type out every book Shakespeare has ever made. Essentially, what this saying is that if given an infinite amount of time and tries, anything is accomplishable. And that over the course of infinite time, regardless of who's doing what, they will accomplish it. Whether it be through skills they learned over the multiple millennia or just sheer luck. Because infinite time is infinite and therefore the possibilities are infinite. And here's the thing. The reason we're talking about that saying right now is because some people may go so far as to say,
well, Nick, you talk about Naruto 3 times a week. Of course, one of your theories was gonna be correct.
And I would like to say, I have not had an infinite amount of time. I've only had this page for about a year and a half. And on top of that, I only make theory videos, what, every third or fourth video? Is it more likely that I've had infinite amount of tries to try and get at least one of my theories correct? Or the theories, because they're usually talking about things that'll happen on later in a show, take a little while to develop? And that today should work as a fantastic example of the fact that I just might know what I'm talking about. Because when you know how an author writes and you know everything about a universe, you can make some logical conclusions.
But Nick, you haven't even told us what today's video is about. Why are you already taking a victory lap?
Well, let's just say on November 30th of 2021, one of the first ever videos I made on this page, I made a little video called Himawari Will Awaken the 10th Seiga. Now, when I made this video, people laughed it off, saying there's no way this will happen. She doesn't even know if she wants to become a ninja. Why would one of the strongest dojutsu in the entire universe be thrust upon her? She's a filler character. She's there to make you go, ah, and then you move on from her. But I stood fast and I said, think about it. Her parents had both the chakra of Hamura and Hagoromo. And while Boruto's dojutsu manifests as a Jogan, that's because Boruto didn't awaken the Byakugan. However, the fact that Boruto awoke a Jogan is most likely due to the fact that both of his parents had Hamura and Hagoromo's chakra. And the melding of these two chakras makes Kaguya, as Hamura and Hagoromo are Kaguya's only children. So if we saw a manifestation of a dojutsu through Boruto that we only see in Otsutsuki, that would imply that what happens in Naruto the Last with Hinata receiving the last vestiges of Hamura's chakra would mean that by Hinata and Naruto combining their genes and chakra to create children would bring some very interesting children. But how interesting is the question? Well, we're gonna answer all those questions and more in a second here, guys, but first, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you like hearing me expound absolutely correct anime theories, guys, then go ahead and follow my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where I talk anything that's not Naruto. And if you just want to hear more of my voice or see more of my face talking about all kinds of animes, Naruto included, then go ahead and follow my brand new podcast, Otakus and Animes with Danny Mata. But before we get into all that, guys, today we gotta talk about a brand new sponsor to the page, Casetify. Casetify is the world's most popular tech accessory brand, and there's a good reason why. See, not only does Casetify make some of the highest quality protective cases you can get for your phone, they're also known for their worldwide global collaborations. With collaborations with people like Blackpink, Harry Potter, the NBA. Chances are, if you like it, Casetify has a case for it. But today, I wanna talk to you about their clear case. See, sometimes less is more, and this clear case is optimized to prevent yellowing and give you long-lasting clarity with the UV Defender technology. And while this case might look minimalist, it's incredibly tough, being tested with drops of up to 6.5 feet, which, mind you, exceeds the military drop test standards. And incredible tactile buttons that give a great register of a click when pushed. On top of that, this clear case is MagSafe compatible, meaning you can use any iPhone MagSafe accessories, all the way from your charging brick to your wireless charging station. But the thing is, your clear case doesn't have to look like my clear case, as even amongst clear cases like this, there is a massive amount of customization available to you. But come on, like we said, this case has a lot more than just style. This case also offers us drop protection. Don't believe me? Not a scratch on it. So what are you guys waiting for? Go to www.casetify.com/nchammer for 15% off your order today. It's about time we made our favorite things look like our favorite things. So the Tenseigan, the Rinnegan upgrade to the Byakugan, a dojutsu that we've only ever seen two people use, Toneri and Hamura. But how does one acquire a Tenseigan? How is Himawari perfectly set up to have one, and how may it already have been confirmed that she does? Well, let's start these videos off in the way that we tend to start these videos off, at the beginning. The Tenseigan is an incredibly powerful dojutsu, originally awoken by Hamura because Hamura was the first person to ever really be able to awaken it. See, when Hagoromo and Hamura were able to seal their mother into the moon, Hamura went to the moon in order to keep an eye over the Gedomazo and Kaguya. And while Hamura went to the moon and kept an eye on Kaguya and the Gedomazo, Hagoromo explored the Earth as the Sage of Six Paths. Because Naruto's storyline has much more to do with Hagoromo, we don't get to know a lot about Hamura until Naruto the Last. See, obviously Hagoromo has Indra and Ashura, who become the progenitors for the Senju in the Uchiha. And they have the cycle of reincarnation, and they battle for thousands and thousands of years, one using the chakra of the Sage of Six Paths and the other using his dojutsu. But on the opposite side of the coin was Hamura. You see, Hamura understood that living on the moon probably wouldn't be super fun. There's like nobody out there. In fact, he had literally just made it. And so in order to deal with some of the loneliness that Hamura possibly would have gone through while living on the moon alone, he decided to bring people with him. Now, this point is a smidge confusing because we do know for a fact that Hamura is the progenitor of the Hyuga clan, and every Byakugan on Earth can be tied directly back to Hamura. The reason that's kind of confusing is because the Hyuga live on Earth, and now we fully know that travel between the Earth and the moon is a possibility. There's kind of like a light portal that you can take that puts you under some kind of genjutsu unless you're super immune to genjutsu, like Sakura. But upon taking this portal, you're able to travel between the Earth and the moon. That's how Toneri was able to travel between the Earth and the moon, and Naruto and Hinata and everyone else. The other reason that it's confusing is because there was a clan of people living on the moon with Hamura. But that clan of people were not Hyuga members, they were actually otsutsuki. We know this because Toneri is the product of thousands of years of that clan surviving and then killing each other off on the moon, and he is still very much an otsutsuki. Pale skin, Byakugan, godly powers. He, for all intents and purposes, was Hamura. But the thing is, this clan on the moon was meant to watch over the Earth, specifically the Earth that Hagoromo created using his Sage of Six Paths powers. But while watching over the Earth, they became divided as to whether or not they should step in to help the humans they believe have strayed off the path of Hagoromo's teachings, or simply allow the humans to live on and figure their own problems out. And as time progressed, two factions evolved. One faction that believed that humanity needed to be destroyed so they could restart again, and another faction who didn't believe in human genocide. Because of these relatively massive differences in ideology, a civil war broke out, with the sole surviving member being one person from the we need to destroy all humans side in Toneri, which is why Toneri wants to use the power of the Tenseigan to throw the moon into the Earth and kill humanity. However, in order to use the power of the Tenseigan, Toneri needs the power of the Tenseigan. And the Tenseigan is kind of confusing because within the confines of just the last, a Tenseigan could either refer to the dojutsu that Toneri awoke at the end of the movie, or refer to the massive power generator on the moon that was fed using the Byakugan of all of the clansmen on the moon. But fortunately, I think people have overcomplicated this issue. The Tenseigan is not two separate things. The Tenseigan has always been just a dojutsu. However, the massive power bank one we see on the moon is simply Hamura's Tenseigan. However, upon Hamura's death, his Tenseigan was extracted and kept alive with the Byakugan of all of his clansmen on the moon. And the constant feeding of their Byakugan to this Tenseigan kept that dojutsu alive. However, as his Tenseigan continued to consume more Byakugan, it gained more power and more size. But this example of a Tenseigan isn't really our best example. When we want to look at a Tenseigan and how one forms it, Toneri really is our best example. See, Toneri laid out the rules for acquiring a Tenseigan to us in a relatively simple manner. In order for a Tenseigan to be formed, somebody of Otsutsuki clan bloodlines has to take a Byakugan from a Hyuga clan member, and simply upon placing those Byakugan into their skull, they will awaken a Tenseigan. Now, this process takes a couple of days and is very painful, but it's relatively straightforward. Otsutsuki gets Hyuga Byakugan, bing bang boom. And thus the way that Toneri was able to awaken his Tenseigan was by taking the Byakugan of Hanabi, Hinata's little sister. And upon awakening this Tenseigan, Toneri was insanely powerful. Like, went toe-to-toe with arguably the strongest version of Naruto of all time, outside of Baryon mode, but this was after the war arc, but before he became Hokage, so he wasn't rusty and he had all of Kurama. I mean, Toneri, upon awakening the power of the Tenseigan, basically gets all of the abilities of the Sage of Six power. He could fly, move at light speeds, control Truth Seeker orbs, and he planned to use the power of the Tenseigan to hurl the moon into the earth, so gravity manipulation is also a high possibility. Not to mention, with the power of the Tenseigan, he used an ability so powerful it cut the moon in half. For all intents and purposes, this is a terrifying weapon. And the reason that it's even more terrifying is because you have to be in otsutsuki to use it, meaning that no human should be able to awaken this ability, and that this ability should only be able to be used against humanity. But fortunately, Naruto, being the MC of the show, was able to defeat Toneri. And upon defeating Toneri, Hamura, in kind of the same way as Hagoromo, appeared in front of Hinata, and basically gave Hinata what Hagoromo had gave to Naruto during the war arc, the last of his chakra. Though Hamura and Hagoromo exist in incredibly different fashions because Hagoromo is infinitely powered by the Pure Lands, so he can give as much chakra as he wants. Hamura, on the other hand, kind of just a dead otsutsuki, but also technically able to appear in front of people like a force ghost in the same way that Hagoromo was able to, so he's at least able to manipulate himself through different dimensions. I don't know, I'm not scaling Hamura right now. Regardless, after defeating Toneri, Hinata used the power granted to her through Hamura to destroy the Tenseigan on the moon. Now, this isn't the Tenseigan that Toneri awoke, this is the Tenseigan power cell. And then her and Naruto used this strength to put the moon back together. But that never sat right with me. You're telling me Hinata and Naruto, now both with chakra from Kaguya's two sons, came together and nothing special would happen with their children? But then we got Boruto and his Jogan, and everyone believed, well,
oh, this is probably where all the Sage of Six past chakra ended up, in Boruto.
Because after all, the Jogan is this supernaturally powerful dojutsu that even Momoshiki is afraid of. In fact, it largely believed that Shibai Otsutsuki, the Otsutsuki who accomplished what every Otsutsuki ever is trying to accomplish, is purely made of Jogan. And honestly, from what we've seen of Shibai in his extra-dimensional shape, he appears to be covered in pale eyes that look a lot like the manga drawing of the Jogan. So it was a somewhat logical conclusion to say, okay, Boruto is tapped into the powers of the highest levels of the Otsutsuki through his parents' lineage. By combining the chakra of both Hagoromo and Hamura, he will now be able to ascend to the highest level of Otsutsuki. Dumb. Cool, that's probably where all the chakra went. But then in the earliest days of Boruto, so early in Boruto that it actually happens in Naruto, we see Himawari as a 4 or a 5-year-old awaken her Byakugan. Here's the thing. You don't awaken the Byakugan. No Hyuga or Otsutsuki in the history of the Hyuga or the Otsutsuki has awoken a Byakugan. You are born with it. Hinata, Neji, Hayashi, Haizashi, all born with pale eyes. And when they activate their Byakugan, the veins around their eyes pop out. This is because the process of using the Byakugan is so intensive that a lot of the blood in your body needs to go to your eyeballs. But this wasn't the case for Himawari. She was born with blue eyes, much like her father, Naruto. However, on the day that Naruto was to be brought in as the Hokage, Himawari's eyes switched from blue to that of the pale Byakugan. And not only did she awaken a Byakugan, being the first person in the history to do so, but upon awakening the Byakugan, she managed to knock out Naruto in one hit. And mind you, this is one of the strongest iterations of Naruto ever. Naruto before he became Hokage, when he was just, well, I guess still technically a genin, but running around doing S-class missions. That Naruto got knocked out in one shot. And mind you, this isn't the first time that Naruto's ever had Gentle Fist used against him. In one of Naruto's most important battles, he battled against Neji in the Chunin exams, where Neji knocked out multiple of Naruto's chakra points. And now you could say,
well, yeah, he didn't expect to be attacked by his daughter. It was a surprise feat.
There are over 300 Tenketsu points in every single body. Being able to inject so much chakra into one Tenketsu spot that it knocks out Naruto is insane.
Nick, you're over-explaining what was supposed to be a joke. You can't actually scale it. It was a joke.
There is not a single, and I mean a single, practitioner of Gentle Fist on Earth who could knock Naruto out in one shot. And when this happened, it became an instant meme. People began to ask the question, who's stronger, Himawari or Teiuchi, the ramen guy? The Sage of Six Bowls versus the person who can one-shot Naruto. But here's the thing, while at the moment it might have seemed like a joke, it may not have been. Because mind you, much in the same way that Boruto was able to awaken an Otsutsuki only ability as a human, we have next to no reason to believe that Himawari shouldn't be able to do the same thing. The Himawari with both the chakra of Hagoromo and Hamura would probably be closer to an otsutsuki than a human. But the reason that Himawari and Boruto don't look like otsutsukis like Hagoromo or Hamura is because their genes are human, but their chakra isn't. Which means that even though Himawari and Boruto might look like humans, they've never really been humans. And while obviously it's gonna help Boruto battle against Kawaki and Shibai Otsutsuki, it might mean more for Himawari than Boruto. You see, because Himawari awoke a Byakugan as a human, but as somebody with the chakra of an otsutsuki, she would then be able to tap into the abilities of the otsutsuki, much in the same way as Boruto, which would mean within the confines of that small little adorable girl, you have a human Hyuga set of Byakugan and an otsutsuki chakra signature, which is what I said a year and a half ago, the equation for the Tenseigan, a legendary dojutsu only ever achieved twice, which could also possibly be a shinjutsu, also known as the highest form of ninjutsu, only accessible to the highest level of otsutsuki, like Shibai Otsutsuki. Shinjutsu being so powerful that all ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu are just shallow attempts to recreate shinjutsu. Shinjutsu being so powerful that even just having one shinjutsu makes you leagues stronger than the strongest humans on Earth. Cyborgs that Amado created like Code and Ada and Daemon, he was able to give shinjutsu to by using small samples of Shibai Otsutsuki cells. And each of these three individual cyborgs are stronger than Naruto and Sasuke combined. So if hypothetically the Tenseigan was a shinjutsu, it would put Himawari, if she was to awaken them, on the level of Boruto or Kawaki or Daemon or Ada or Code, instantly rocketing her into the top 7 strongest people in the show.
But Nick, if you made that theory video a year and a half ago, why are you doing your victory lap right now? Did something happen?
Yes, something did happen. See, a lot, and I mean a lot, went down in chapter 77 of Boruto. It is arguably the best chapter of Boruto since probably Kurama's death. If you're not up on the Boruto manga, do yourself a favor, read it. It's only released monthly. It's not hard to catch up on. But in this chapter, Ada is out shopping for clothes with Sarada, Boruto, and class rep. What's her real name? I'm gonna get flack for this. The class rep, Sumire. Sumire, I didn't have to Google it. I remembered it the second I stopped recording. And since Ada is out and about and shopping, Daemon is naturally there as well. Since Daemon is essentially Ada's bodyguard, considering the fact that nobody can attack Daemon. Because Daemon has a shinjutsu that states if you have any intention of attacking him, that attack is reflected back onto you. Meaning it is impossible to fight back against him. Unless of course you don't have the intention to attack him, which is absolutely how he's gonna get defeated somewhere down the line. Regardless, Daemon is out with Ada protecting her. Daemon's complaining about how there's no one strong in this village to fight, as he's sitting on top of Boruto, the effective Jinchuriki of Momoshiki, whose body is now completely fused with Momoshiki, halting him at around 88% Otsutsuki. And I'll remind you of the golden rule real quick. A perfect Jinchuriki is stronger than the tailed beast. We really have no reason to believe this will not be the circumstance with Boruto, because if he tops out at Momoshiki, then he's in trouble. But not only is he the effective Jinchuriki of Momoshiki, he also has the Jogan. Boruto is probably, right now, the second strongest person in Konoha.
Oh, he's still not stronger than Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura.
Yes, he is. I'm sorry. I don't like it either, but he is. But how strong Boruto is isn't what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is the fact that Daemon was talking about how there's no one strong in the village while on top of Boruto. And while Daemon has never seen Boruto go all out, he can absolutely pick up on the fact that Momoshiki's chakra signature is in there. Daemon should be fully aware of what Boruto could achieve in battle. And yet, it's not Boruto who catches Daemon's attention, it's Himawari. As Himawari is walking past the store that Ada's shopping in, Daemon bolts off of Boruto's shoulders, jolting outside looking for an intense chakra signature that was walking past. A person he believed would be an equal to him in battle, somebody he believed could keep him entertained. He bolts up to Himawari and he grabs her by the coat and he goes,
"Who are you?"
And Boruto comes up behind him and grabs him, but Daemon breaks out of his grips and goes to attack Himawari, only to be stopped by Boruto. But it's at this point that Daemon asks,
"Why didn't you dodge that? It should have been simple for the likes of you."
Implying that the chakra signature and the intensity he picked up from Himawari makes him believe that she's on his level, that there was no reason that she shouldn't be able to spar with him as an equal. But Boruto butted in and said, well, yeah, she can be intense sometimes, but she's not even a shinobi. To which Daemon says, yeah, she does look weak now that I'm looking at her, but what was that intensity I felt a second ago? And really, the only way to battle against the likes of Daemon is to use Shinjutsu. Even Code, who has a Shinjutsu in his claw marks, Daemon looks down upon, saying that Code's Shinjutsu isn't nearly strong enough to affect the likes of him. And for all intents and purposes, he's correct, because Code still has to express his intent to attack against Daemon, which means that all of his attacks will be reflected. He's essentially like Princess Peach pulling out Toad in Smash Bros. Any technique you use will be shot right back at you. So to me, and a lot of other people, these couple of pages imply that we are down the track of Himawari awakening a Shinjutsu, or she already has one. And the only logical conclusion to Himawari having a Shinjutsu would be the Tensei God. There has been nothing else in her life that would point to her having a separate Shinjutsu or a separate otherworldly ability. And thus, it's a possibility that we're gonna see Himawari take a massive step forward when it comes to importance to the storyline. God, I hope she does. One, not only is Parent-Child Day my favorite thing that Boruto ever did, and Himawari is one of my favorite characters because she's adorable, but also because Naruto as a franchise has long neglected making the women in their story powerful. And slowly but surely that trend has begun to change, with the likes of Sumire and Sarada not falling under Ada's spell, implying that down the line they'll be incredibly important if a counterattack against Ada is required. On top of that, if Himawari is revealed to have a Tenseigan and therefore be one of the most powerful people in the universe, it would not only be a beautiful full circle moment for a meme, it would be widely beloved by readers everywhere. We would finally get the plot development we always wanted from Hinata, but through her daughter. We could see a brother-sister MC approach to Boruto's timeline, which honestly would be a good thing when you consider the fact that the majority of people who read and watch Boruto like Himawari more than they like Boruto. And more than anything, we would see the women in Boruto's timeline getting more shine, which would not only be awesome, but also kind of impressive from Kishimoto, adapting his storytelling to a more 2023 style. Now, obviously, that's what I want to happen. And honestly, I think the dynamic between Himawari and Kawaki being what it is, with Himawari really being the person that allowed Kawaki to believe that he was part of Boruto's family, that throwing her into the mix with what's going on with Kawaki right now in the story would be more interesting down the line. But unfortunately, there's also a large possibility that doesn't happen. Well, that is obviously the best case scenario. Himawari with a Tenseigan chakra cloak mode, throwing planet buster attacks at Otsutsuki like Shibai as her and Boruto and Kawaki battle against him in an extra dimensional plane? Yeah, sign me up for it. Unfortunately, I have very little faith in Kishimoto. Love the man. Love his work. It keeps my lights on. But in reality, I see this going one of two ways. One, the chakra signature that Daemon picked up on is absolutely that of an otsutsuki. As for all intents and purposes, like I've already stated, Himawari should be a blending of chakra between Hamura and Hagoromo, unless she does nothing with it except becoming a plot device. Because what do we know about otsutsukis, especially the strong ones? They make really good chakra trees. And what does Momoshiki still want to do? Well, he wants to feed an otsutsuki to the juvenile 10 tails that Ishiki had. And while Kawaki is still about 80 to 90% otsutsuki, he's also very strong. And it's really hard to wrestle somebody who's really strong into a 10 tails. So who would do very nicely? Oh, I don't know, the child with the chakra of the Sage of Six Paths and his brother? Yeah, that would work. Or even worse than that, there's also the distinct possibility that Himawari just somehow gets shipped with Daemon, because they do kind of write off the entire exchange as Boruto being like,
oh, you think Himawari's attractive? No, I won't allow this to happen.
And that intensity that he's feeling could just be Daemon's first ever feeling of love. I'm afraid of that possibility very deeply. So hey, here's the hope in that it's just a big step forward for Kishimoto and his story writing ability, and that we get to see this beautiful character arc unfolding for Himawari, but you know, expect the worst, pray for the best. But what do you guys think of this chapter? What do you believe this intensity is gonna unravel into? Do you think that Himawari is a Shinjutsu wielder? Do you think that she's just gonna get fed to the 10 tails? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. See, what I've done with this video is I've given you 3 possibilities. So basically, no matter what happens based off of this, I can once again say I was correct.